In this episode, we're talking about a literal train ride from hell, the long-awaited roguelike deck builder, Monster Train 2. This and more on Indie Game Arcade. Welcome to Indie Game Arcade, the podcast that deep dives into the latest and greatest indie games. My name is Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we are both recovering for different reasons. So if we're a little bit groggy, slow, tired, crabby, dying, there's reasons. And we're sorry. Mostly sorry. Maybe not. Maybe
not.
A
little sorry. A little
Slightly. You were at cons, A-Con, like all weekend, but not indie game related.
A-Con.
Yeah, you were at A-Con. You weren't hanging out with him.
A convention. I was at a horror. Well, the A-Con used to be an anime convention here. That's what I was talking about.
Oh,
I know
okay.
you're talking about the artist.
The guy. Yeah, him. I don't know if he's problematic though. So I don't.
Was he canceled? I haven't heard his name in a long time. I know A-Con, the convention, was canceled, so maybe he was too. Who knows?
Okay, we'll just assume everything called A-Con canceled. We're just gonna go
probably.
With that.
That's a safe bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at a horror movie convention instead. But the problem was there was a horror movie convention, a gaming convention, and a comic convention, all like big ones here in Dallas at the exact same time this weekend, Memorial Day weekend. And I obviously could not attend all three, which is sad, but also disappointing because I really wanted to go to the board gaming one. That was the Board Game Geek anniversary one, which would have been so cool to attend, but I couldn't.
Be cool. Yeah, I just dug a lot of holes in the backyard.
That's exciting in a way.
I dug a big ditch. I replanted 8 hostas. So
eight what?
Hostas.
What is a hosta?
They're plants. They're really heavy. They get so big, and then okay. Your weekend was a lot more exciting than mine, is what I'm getting out of this conversation.
That's what I'm getting out of this conversation, too. I'm not taking that for granted.
Yeah. Mine was just all dirt, sweat, lots of tears.
Tears?
Yeah. Lots of crying on those hostas. Why are you so big?
That's how you water hostas.
Hey, let me tell you something that did happen, though, that will get a laugh out of you. At one point, because I was having to move a lot of dirt to dig the ditch that I need to dig, like when you put too much dirt in the wheelbarrow, obviously it'll tip over, which is what happened.
Okay.
But it didn't just tip over, it also made me tip over. And when I tipped over, I ended up falling on my butt onto a very sharp plant, and I got a bunch of thorns right into my butt cheek. So
that is something I'm very familiar with.
Yeah. So later I had to go inside and I'm like in front of the mirror pulling thorns out of my butt. So that was cool.
Well, you know what? At least for your wife's sake, she didn't have to do it, because in my experience, I was the one having to pull the thorns out of someone else's butt. So,
okay.
Yeah.
You lucky dog.
Yeah. Do you not remember that story?
No, I don't remember.
Okay. I thought you were saying like I could appreciate it or I would laugh at it because I knew exactly what you were talking about. So there was this winter in Texas where like everything froze over, and the cacti that were around our neighborhood, like this one house had these cactus planted around, and those all died. And so they shed their thorns. And when I was walking there with my then partner, like she sat down on this sidewalk type thing, like this little thing where the cactus were, and not that she didn't sit on the cactus, but she sat on the thing where the thorns had shed without knowing. Yeah. And then just was full of just cactus thorns. And so then we had to walk back to the house, and I had to like tweeze them out of her butt because she could not do it herself.
Man.
And that was also in front of a mirror. So anyway, it was like the exact same thing that happened to you, but I was doing the pulling out. I did not sit in the thorns.
I wouldn't recommend it, to be honest. Like, I would say,
no, I'm sure it sucked.
Out of all the experiences I've had, I'd rate this maybe a 2 out of 10. So yeah, I'm going to say not recommended. Let's not do that anymore. No more thorns in the butt. So
yeah. 0 out of 10 or 2 out of 10.
I give it a 2.
What would you rate it?
I give it a 2. 2 out of 10.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, because it's good for laughs. It's a good gag.
True. Yeah.
Good gag.
Yeah. So you're getting something out of it.
Yeah, I just don't want to repeat it. So
understandable.
Something I would want to repeat, though, is a run on the game we're going to talk about, which is Monster Train 2.
Game start!
Monster Train 2, released on May 21st, 2025, developed by Shiny Shoe, published by Big Fan Games, retails for $24.99. For a description, this is a roguelike deck builder where the enemies enter your 3-level vertical train in waves while you are playing cards and using abilities to defeat them while protecting your pyre, which is like your train's health. This is picking up from the previous game where it was angels invading. And now that, like, per the lore of the game, now that they've been pushed back, you've made your way to heaven to bring the fight to them, but a greater threat and the Titans have arrived because one of the angels was seeking more power, brought these Titans in, and they have now seized control of heaven. So heaven and hell have been forced to make a temporary alliance to defeat them. So completely, like, if you're familiar at all with the original game, there was like the clans and everything. So we've got like all new clans here, which means different play styles, different abilities, and like tons of, I would say like the core mechanics of this game are exactly the same as before, but there's so much more added to it now that the gameplay is a lot more nuanced than it was before, which is really exciting.
I mean, I haven't played Monster Train in so long that I can't really point out the similarities and differences per se. The gameplay feels the same to me in such a way that I was able to drop right in and understood what I needed to do, how the general mechanics of it worked. And I really just like went, like my first run was like seamless. Like I was able to just like breeze through that. And so immediately like got that done with. And then as you progress through it, which I believe was the same in the last game, you go through these covenants, which are like the difficulty levels that accelerate slowly as you go through them. I don't know what the max is. Right now I'm at 3, and every single one you add, just like with any other roguelike, is sort of added different sort of difficulty like spikes to your, or I guess modifiers to your run to make it a little harder each time, and they're progressive. So like the one that you get to go from 1 to 2, you will also get going from 2 to 3 and then 3 to 4, et cetera, et cetera. It all stacks together. So by the time you get to like 10 or something, you have so many like negative modifiers going against you that it becomes harder and harder to win a run. But at the same time, like that's when the rewards start to get greater as well. So it's a risk reward system. You don't have to play it that way. If you wanted to play it more casually, you can play it like minus the covenant. So you're just like doing the normal runs, in which case I think you can still level up your clans and everything and like get the unlocks and whatnot, like as you go through it. But you will be barred from getting certain things that are kind of walled behind the covenant rankings.
And I like, I want to ask you like what your favorite out of the new clans, like what's your go-to one or what your favorite one is now. But I do want to say I like all of them so far. Like I haven't seen one that I dislike. I mean, there's definitely one that like I was kind of unsure of what to do with them at first, which was the I think it was the Luna Coven. Like it wasn't clicking for me like right away, like how to use them, but I got used to it and I actually ended up like really liking them. But I really, really am enjoying the Pyreborn quite a bit, especially because like the amount of like rewards and stuff you can get using them, using like the eggs and stuff like that to that advantage and getting letting those stack up.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun. I do like playing with the Pyreborn because of the way that they are really about hoarding either money or eggs, and that you can do so much with both of those things that it's like, well, yeah, this is just like that to me feels like the easiest class to play, just because it's so easy to get kind of a busted run in your favor when you do that, because like there's this one unit, and there's two units, one where it's like the more gold you have, the more damage it does, and even like the brood mother or something, I can't remember what she is, but the secondary Pyreborn unit that you can play as, or hero you can play as, champion, like she is all about, or one of her forms is all about like the more money you have, the more damage she's doing. And then there's this one creature that's like an egg bearer or something, who the more eggs you have, like the more health and damage he's doing. And so when you get stacks of like 10 plus eggs, like this thing is a monster. Yeah. And it's like just reliant on you having eggs. And there are a lot of cards that let you get like replenish your egg count like pretty quickly, even if you are to like trade them all in after a battle. Like you can replenish that so fast that like that one dragon who has the eggs just becomes just this beast that's almost unstoppable. And that's where it becomes like a little busted. And I'm not saying like that it's cheating or anything doing that. Like that's the way it's intended to be played. And you won't always get the setup that you need to make that happen. But when you do, it feels really cool having just this monstrosity fighting on your side. But that doesn't mean they're unstoppable. I want to talk about, not right this second, but I do want to talk about like one of the cool runs I had in a little while when we get further into the gameplay talk. Yeah,
sure. Like I had one too that was just super, super fun. That had to do, like, I think actually I went with the Banished for that one, but the Pyreborn were my like secondary clan. But because of the setup I did, it was just insane. And I just steamrolled everything. It was really cool. But so to kind of like get into those mechanics, how they're working and stuff. So like I said earlier, there's 3 vertical levels. Enemies come in through the bottom level. If you don't take them all out right there, they will move up until they get to the very top, which is where your pyre is. And if they take that out, then you lose your run. There are 5 clans right now. And like I assume there's probably going to be more added in the future. And depending, like each clan kind of specializes in their own thing. And there are cards that like align with those very specifically. But that doesn't mean that like you can't mix and match. So like when you do a run, you pick your starting kind of hero thing, and that's sort of like the default clan. But you will get like a secondary clan to go with it. And so sometimes like some of those synergies are like super powerful. Like even in the demo you had, I think it was the Banished and the Pyreborn. And like some of the stuff that you could do with the 2 of them were like very, very powerful as well. One thing that is new for sure is like the unit abilities, which is really, really cool. There's like one in particular on the Pyreborn side, I think is Gelly Sneeze, I think is the little guy. He's just this tiny, tiny little dragon guy. And his little ability when you use it is he does like, I think it's like just a little bit of damage or something. And then he puts like 10 pyre gel on like the front, like whoever the front enemy is. But like if you do like modifications to that little guy and like put like the little dualism trinket on him, then all of a sudden it's like 20 that he puts on there. I'll explain the Pyrogel in a little bit, but man, Pyrogel, oh my God, I love Pyrogel. That was the run I was referencing earlier where like things went crazy. That's the reason why, because I had so many stacks of Pyrogel going constantly and it was just insane.
Yeah, the Pyrogel can stack up and really like make enemies into just complete, like, I don't know, meatloaf. Like they are just like destroyed by all this Pyrogel that is on them.
Yeah, well, yeah,
but
this
you can talk about what it does in a minute.
Yeah. Well, there's also equipment cards. So these are like weapons and stuff, weapon cards that grant bonuses.
That's definitely new also,
Yeah,
the equipment
definitely.
cards. I thought that abilities were in the last one, but I might be wrong.
I don't think they were. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember them being in there. And then there's also room cards, which you can put on like the different levels of the train and then create. It basically gives like passive buffs and stuff. There was something like in the last game where you could, enhance certain rooms when you get like those crystals or whatever. Like you could do the thing that like allows for more creatures and stuff on the floor. But I think the actual room cards, I think, is a new thing as well. But those are really powerful as well. You still have your upgrades, your merchants, the trinket merchant. You can get trinkets from bosses and stuff as well. And then they kept the daily challenges like they had, but then they've also got dimensional challenges and they've got endless mode, which is really cool as well. So there's honestly a lot of stuff in this game. It really does, to me, feels like the first game, and then they've like really fleshed it out more and enhanced it. So yeah, like I'm really having a good time with it. So the Pyrogel stuff is like this thing that you can apply to an enemy and it will stack and it like stays on them. So there's no decay on it. Like if I apply 10, it's not going to go down to 9, after the round's over. It's going to stay there. And it's like every time that enemy gets hit, then it's adding like that 10 or whatever that stack is on top of the damage that they're taking. So the more you stack on there, they're going to be taking more damage from every single time they get hit. So you stack even just a little bit on there, they're taking a lot more damage overall.
Yeah, that is really good. Multi-strike is amazing as always.
Yeah.
That I know was in the last game too.
Yes.
I'll tell you, I'll give you like a short like description of the run that I had that was just like crazy, and even let me go into did you do endless mode at all after your run?
No, I never went into endless mode.
Okay, I went into endless mode and got a couple in. It gets like I don't know. I'm surprised that I died here, but I know why I did. Anyway, so the reason that this run was so cool was there are these events that you can go to, and this was in the last game too. Like you make a stop, essentially your train makes a stop, quote unquote, and it is these like kind of randomly generated events that happen. And this one was like Dante comes out, who is just this magician dude. Yeah. And what he does is every time you summon him, he brings a blight candle into your deck, permanently like summons a blight candle into your deck. And that is something that like, if you leave it in there and don't use it, then it damages your pyre heart, which is your train heart, essentially. Yep. So but for every one of those candles you have, he gets a additional multi-hit added. So that means the more you're able to stack, the more hits he's doing at a time. And so what I was able to do was I buffed him up with some of the modifiers. Like gave him more damage and I think more health. And so he was doing a lot of damage and was pretty survivable, or had a pretty good survival rate. And then I just had so many of those candles in there that he was hitting like 8 times every single time that he would attack. Then I duplicated him so that there were 2 of them out there. So on this single like train level, there were 2 Dantes doing 16 hits, and they had quick on them too, because I had a quick dagger equipped on both of them. And that means that what quick does is like they attack first before the enemy. So that means before the enemy even got to act, they were getting hit 16 times for a pretty substantial amount. And so it was really melting everything before it got a chance to even act. So I beat the run, no problem. However, in endless mode, the second endless thing I ran into were these like thorn heavy units that would just like what thorns do, just like with any game, is like it makes you take damage when you hit them. So poor Dante just didn't have enough health to sustain getting hit back 16 times.
Yeah.
When he was attacking. So it just melted my Dante units right away. And that was really the bread and butter of that build. So it's like, well, if they're dead, I've got nothing. And so I lost on that part. But it was very satisfying getting up to that point. And I felt unbeatable. And then I was like, oh yeah, Thorns. And so Thorns did me in. But it was really fun getting there. I at least beat that run. That's actually what got me to Covenant 3.
Nice. One of the runs, well, I've done this twice, and the first time I tried it, I didn't have the setup the best way, and it didn't work, and I ended up losing the run. The second time I did it, this thing went off like crazy. But what I did, I was still using the Banish as my main, but I had been recruiting a bunch of the Pyreborn cards, but I had gotten a couple banished as well. So what I had for my setup on the bottom was there are those one Pyreborn guys, the like dragon kind of dudes that have like that, they're carrying that big maul or hammer or something. And they apply 8 pyre gel. So what I did was I got one of those, kind of like what you did. I put dualism on them. So like it increased that. Then I got multi-strike on them and then duplicated. So I had like multiple of them. Got them on like my, bottom thing. So it's like they're hitting like right when things come in. Did like the same thing with my little Gelly Sneeze guy who's also applying pyre gel. And then I had gotten that one little guy who's just the one cost like slot from the banished side that grants everybody else quick. And I threw him down there. So yeah, that ended up being my setup where I had all of these guys applying a ton of pyre gel and then that little guy applying quick to them. So like it was just like the stacks of Pyrogel were hilariously high. There's a couple of the bosses that I took out like way before final wave. Like one of them, I still had like 3 waves left. It was the Cherub guy. Yeah, I still had 3 waves left. He died. The final boss of the run, like he didn't even get a chance to go. Like just melted him. So that was like so satisfying. And like, I feel, and this is like why I really like this game too, is I love Monster Train 1. Like I've played so much of that game. Like I'll have to look at my hours played of that sometime. But I feel like already like that run that I was just talking about stands out to me more than any of the runs I can think about having played in the previous Monster Train game. And like, I'm going to remember that for a while because of just how wild that went and how satisfying it felt. So like when I talk about how this really feels like a big refinement and enhancement of that first game, like I really mean it. It feels like they took everything I loved about the original and they're like, here it is again, but we made it way better. And I'm like, yep, yeah, you did. I get it. This is great.
Yeah, that's a really good point because it's those crazy runs you can have. They're not all going to be like wild like that. But when it's really like no matter what direction you go with it, it's when you're able to get the right kind of RNG or whatever to allow you to build towards this crazy like machine that you've thought up. And barring any like, consequence or barring any like obstacles or whatever, like, thorns against my Dantes, it feels so good being able to see this little flow all work out the way that you were expecting it to. Yeah. And then just absolutely melt enemies or bosses or whatever. That is so satisfying. And what's great about this game is like, you're really, and not that you won't ever have 2 runs that are semi-similar, but there's so many ways that you can navigate this and really gear yourself towards a different style, no matter what clan you are or what champion you are. There's so much replayability to this. I could see myself like, and I know I will spend hours and hours playing this. Like if I had more time this week, that would have been where my week went, was Monster Train 2. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play too much, but I got to play enough to get a really good idea conceptually of like what they've changed, what they've added. and how I can adapt to that. And I'm excited to see like what else I can run into, what else I can unlock. Like we had talked about a little before, there are also some additions of other indie games in this.
Yes.
I haven't run into a ton of them, or at least like not a lot that I've noticed, but I did have one of those like random like train stops that was Balatro based.
Oh,
or
cool.
Balatro based. Yeah, whatever it is. And so it was me getting to choose between like 3 different Joker cards, and they each had a different like effect, like a negative effect and a positive effect to them. And so I had to like pick and choose. Okay. So there's just those little thematic things that come in every once in a while and really like plant themselves in the game in a very natural way. So even if I didn't know what Balatro was, I would at least have this event that makes sense to me. But it's like a nice little Easter egg for fans of these indie games too. So I just like to see that partnership between indie developers.
Yeah, that's cool because I ended up with the Cult of the Lamb one.
Oh, so, what was it?
Yeah, it was cool. So what happened was when the train opened, it was one of the like, it kind of looked like one of those 4 gods that are kind of like running the show. Do you remember that in that game?
Yeah.
So it kind of looked like one of those sort of like a tall eldritchy looking thing, and it was wearing the crown and stuff. And it was just sort of trying to make a deal with me. And it was, you know, one of those things where it was like giving me a choice where I could take like I think it was like an artifact of some kind. And it was one of those things where I would get like a bonus from it, but it also had like a con to it as well. And I can't remember exactly what it was. But when I chose it, it also gave me 2 followers that were like these little, you know, the little kind of cartoony kind of characters from like Cult of the Lamb. And they were
like the little
2
followers.
Like, they were like little like horse looking dudes. And they became like cards that I could use like any of my other dudes.
That's cool.
They were hilariously weak, but I still got them. They were literally like they had double multi-strike applied to them, so they would do 3 hits, but they only did 1 damage. You know, that was all they had, so they would really only do 3 total. But it's like, you know, if I enhance those or something like that, then you can actually get something out of them.
But
I
was thinking
cool.
like, imagine how cool that would be to just have a successful run using those like weak Cult of the Lamb followers.
Yeah, man.
Like that would just be, that's just so interesting to me. I love when you can like really push a game in a different way. Like, what is the game? Not Diceromancer.
Dice
what was
Folk?
the Dice Folk? Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, it was one of the runs that we did together. It was, well,
Yes.
you did the run, but I was with you where you were just using like the starting units, and one of your starting units became so powerful that it was like your champion throughout the entire run. And that was just like the base starting unit. He just happened to get all these buffs stacked on him. And that stuff's really cool to me. The fact that you can push something like that. You don't have to like rely on like, oh, I need to make sure to get this epic unit and now I can finally win. It's like, no, you can, with the right kind of gear and the right sort of power ups, you can make even these weak little units like a David and Goliath situation, just make it just storm through everything. And that's very satisfying to watch that kind of progression.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're only limited by your own lack of like creativity or foresight with a game like this. You know, it's just kind of like you get what you get, but you can make the best of it. It's just like, can you see the avenues that are available to you to make the best of the cards that you get? So, yeah.
And like there is some RNG to it, sure.
But, definitely.
So you won't win every run. I definitely haven't won every run, but you can at least gear yourself up to start yourself down a path and try to mitigate as many of those like RNG obstacles as you can by prepping yourself. Or you can just do what I do sometimes and go all in and hope for the best. And that doesn't always work, but when it does work, it's really cool. Like my Dante run, that was just like an all in kind of situation. And it worked for the most part, just up until the thorns got me. I wasn't ready for that, but you know, in the future, I now will prepare myself for thorns. Should I try to do a similar run to that?
Yeah, I get some of those cards that have like the shields and stuff on them, and then like beef up those cards so that they apply like multiple shields.
Or there's some kind of artifact that has a 50% chance when an enemy enters the battleground of like taking away all their abilities or something.
Yeah, it takes away all of their buffs when they enter.
So that wouldn't be like 100% solution, but it would at least help me out.
Yeah. There was one that I didn't think, and this is just, I know we're going long on describing this one, but it was just another one of those moments that made me just love this thing. There is an artifact that they carried over from the first game, which is the strips. Do you remember that? It's like the little, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like the spike strips or whatever.
Oh, the one that when they move levels, it damages them for 3?
Yeah, just 3 damage. Which it's like in the very beginning of the game, the like first 2 rounds, maybe that is kind of handy. But post that, it's really not very potent for you because like the enemy's health is like way up, right? So like moving like that, if they transition up to another room, 3 damage isn't much. It's not going to really make or break your run. However, when I was throwing Pyrogel on all these motherfuckers, then they would go up and just like these guys that would have like, let's say a guy escaped with 80 health moves up. I had so many stacks of Pyrogel on these people. That was enough. Just they just melt away. And like, oh my God, I was dying laughing.
That 3 turns into like 30 damage every time they move or something.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, some of them, like the stacks that I was applying on some of these were like in the hundreds. So that 3 damage, it was destroying people. So
and I love that those items that you can equip to enemies where it's like, it is like one of them I remember is a like a spiked jacket, which does something similar. Every time they move a level, they will take 30 damage. And so it's like, let me just throw this on somebody. So even if they do get away from me, they're going to die just moving up the train.
Yeah.
So stuff like that is just strategically interesting.
Yeah. One thing that I have embraced more this time around too is like letting, sacrificing my pyre health more often for like better gains for like, other things. Like there's a lot of cards, artifacts, things like that, that'll be like, you can do this at the expense of like so much health from your pyre. And it's kind of like, I used to just guard my pyre health with my freaking life. Like, no, if this will damage my pyre, I refuse. But now it's kind of like, you know what though? Like I will be so powerful that no one's going to get up to that pyre. And if they do, then I deserved it for being an idiot. So yeah, I've been playing fast and loose with my pyre health, but I feel like the more I do that, the more chances I'm taking, one, the more fun I'm having with the game because it's like more stuff that I'm opening up to. And 2, I feel like that risk reward is so well balanced in this game that when you do take those risks, like that reward is pretty great. Like I'm seeing it pay off. And the more I do stuff like that, like, I am getting more powerful and they are hardly ever getting to that room. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, okay, I know we have to move on, but I will also like agree with you in that I was so sensitive about letting things get up to my pyre before that I would make just stupid moves I would sacrifice things just to avoid them getting to that.
Yes.
And then ultimately I'm like, oh wait, that was terrible because now they're going to like win anyway because I was just so fixated on trying to not let them even touch my pyre heart. But there are times where it's like, okay, I've gotten a lot looser with like letting things through if it's like weak and it's not going to really do much to it.
Yeah.
Because I know that it will just set me up better for the rest of that, either that match or that run if I just let it take a hit. Because all you're really losing is a little bit of points that I don't even care that much about. It's more just for this is experience that you get at the end of the run, basically, that will level up your clans. And yeah, it's important, but it's not the most important thing. Obviously, like if you don't win, then you're losing a lot of points anyway. But if you just sacrifice a little bit and like let them get through just to like poke at it some, like your Pyre Heart's going to do the rest of the work most of the time because it is pretty powerful in and of itself.
Yeah, exactly. Just let it finish the job. If it's like little guys, yeah, sure, let them get up there. It'll take them out. It's great. Overall, it's a fantastic game. I love it. I am so happy that it is as good as it is and that it wasn't like here's a sequel, but it sucks. No, this is so good. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about this quite often this entire year. Like we'll be like, hey, so what other games are we playing? Well, we're still playing
Monster Train 2. Hey, I do have a question though, and maybe this will be like a good kind of recommendation for anyone who hasn't played like the first Monster Train. Would you say that they should play that one first, or should they just go straight to this one?
I think they could honestly go straight to this one.
I agree. You will miss out on some story, but I don't remember a ton of the story of it anyway, aside from like angels attacking hell and you defending it. But so if you care about like tying all those loose ends up, then sure. But mechanically, this one's just so much more sound. I agree with you.
Yeah, I think as far as mechanics and everything go, just jump right into this one, honestly. I think it is worth it just to go ahead and go straight for this. And you know what? The story, Wikipedia is there. You could read that and then hop into this and get caught up. So yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Agreed. So the first one, not necessary to play. It's still a great game. And so if you want to support them and buy it anyway, go ahead. But this one is definitely the definitive version of this type of gameplay.
Power up!
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode so far, do us a favor, throw us a like, a follow, share the episode or the podcast with folks who love indie games so we can get more of these game recommendations out there and support the indie game devs that made them. We also have a YouTube channel at youtube.com/nerdsloth where you can catch us playing more indie games or check out our top 5 and top 10 series for even more indie game recommendations because we believe there is an indie game out there for everyone.
Combo!
Let's talk about some other indie games we've been playing this week. I don't know if you're going to have anything because you've been a busy beaver, but I've got a few.
Hey, I will say that I've spent a lot more time in KIBORG, one I brought up last episode before, I don't remember. But that one, still a great game. So that, for anyone who doesn't know, that's an action RPG roguelike where the combat is based very heavily on like Arkham Asylum or even more recently Spider-Man games where you're kind of bouncing around and dodging, parrying, blocking, et cetera, but it's the flow of the combat that feels very similar to that, and even the perspective of it. But it's a roguelike where you're going room to room trying to just survive and kill all the enemies.
Real gritty
get
looking
upgrades
too.
In between. Yeah, very gritty, but very fun and satisfying combat. I have like beaten a couple runs, and there are some really cool things that come with that. There's still so much more for me to do in this, like any good roguelike. Winning is kind of the start of just the next thing, really. Just like with Monster Train, where it's like there's the Covenants, similar stuff here. Still a great game. Still would recommend it. So I was having a lot of fun with KIBORG.
Hell yeah. One of the games I played this week was Duck Detective, The Ghost of Glamping.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This released on the 22nd of May. This is from Happy Broccoli Games. This is a follow-up to the original, which was Duck Detective, The Secret Salami. This is a goofy, cozy detective noir where you're playing as a duck detective, investigating a mystery at a haunted luxury campsite this time around. It's a short game. It's only like 2 to 3 hours, but super charming. Has some similar mechanics for those that are familiar with games like the Golden Idol series, where it's like point and click and then fill in the blank. Though in this, you obviously have a character to move around and investigate folks and talk to people rather than just observing as an outside force, kind of like in the Golden Idol series. And I would say these are much easier mysteries, investigations, things like that. So it's definitely a game meant for a general audience. And it's so witty. It's really funny. It's just a joy, honestly. It looks great too with this, like the aesthetic is really nice. It's got that like Paper Mario-esque cutout that me and you really like with the character designs and everything. Plus you have a button dedicated just to Quack. I mean, why not, man? That's fun. It's so cute. The other one that I played was Kabuto Park, which releases, this is coming up on the 28th. So it'll be out by the time this, will it? I don't know. I don't know math no more. It comes out the day you're listening to this. Kabuto Park by Doot Tiny Games. This is a small game, but super adorably designed bug catching sim, where you like upgrade your gear and collect bugs by visiting different zones. And how you collect those bugs, it's like one of those sort of like meters where it's like timed where you gotta hit the button at the right time to like catch them and nab them with your net. So like the rarer the bug, the harder they are to catch. But you're catching these so you can do battle. There's like a battle system. So
I love that. I love that in a cozy game.
Yeah.
You're catching these cute little bugs in a cute little way and then making them fight.
Make them fight. What's funny though is like instead of doing like a Pokemon-esque kind of battle, they're doing like sumo wrestling essentially. So like you're making your team of 3 bugs and you go up against somebody else with their 3 bugs. And the goal is to push the other team out of bounds, like off the top of this like drum or whatever. But it's all done with cards and done in real time. It's not turn-based. And so like different cards will come with the different bugs that you catch. And the cards have different abilities. Like some of them might be certain kinds of kicks or like basically attacks and stuff. Some of them are more defense-centered. Some of them are more about like re-upping your energy because all these cards cost energy to play. And each bug also has like stats and strength, defense, and energy. And those will all contribute to your overall team stats. And that will kind of like show how you stack up against whoever you're going up against. What's interesting about this is like the energy used to play these cards. You'll see like numbers on the cards as you're like doing the battle and everything. And like you're basically waiting for those like you see kind of like a meter within the circle where the number is. You're waiting for those meters to fill up, like basically for you to have enough energy so that you can play the card. So like sometimes the enemy team is like pushing your bugs back and you're just waiting for your card to fill up so you can do something. You're like, no, come on, please, fill up. And so you can play this card to like defend yourself or to try to push them forward and stuff. So it's really cool. But it's like if you get more bugs with like higher energy on your team, then like those gauges are filling up faster. So yeah, it's really cool. It's honestly a really interesting system. Winning gets you coins and candies. Coins help you upgrade your gear to catch more bugs. Candies help you upgrade your bugs to become stronger. So there's like a leveling system with the bugs. They can all like level up, and the higher the level, then the more their stats grow. And then like the better like cards they'll have as far as abilities and everything. It's cute, it's casual, but it has really good mechanics to it that makes it super fun and engaging, especially from like a strategy perspective. I did not expect to find that much strategy in a game like this. But there is. It's definitely one you could probably complete in a short period of time. There's like 40 bugs total that you can find, but again, some of them are really hard to find and catch, the rarer ones. And then there's like a leaderboard for the like within the game, so like the NPCs and stuff. And as you're like working your way up that leaderboard, it really ramps up in difficulty as you battle your way through. So like I definitely recommend this. It was an absolute delight. I expected to play it and be like, this would be a fun, cozy little thing, but instead I was like so invested in this. And I was like, oh man, I got to get the best bugs. And I was like catching a bunch of like rhino beetles and comparing their stats. And I'm like, nah, I'm selling this rhino beetle. I want this one. I'm going to give him all the candies. He's got so much more defense. They even have shinies. They have like shinies in here.
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Exactly. Oh, dude, I got so hyped playing this game.
Okay, so listen, when you mentioned this game at first, and I was like, okay, yeah, this looks pretty cute. But the more you were talking about it, and as I've been flipping through screenshots of it and like watching a video or the trailer of it, I am completely sold on this game now. Like, it looks so fun. And just I love the art of it. The art is so appealing to my style, and just like the simple mechanics of it that have complexity to them. It's one of those things that it seems like it's like easy to like get into, but like difficult to master type thing. And I like that style of game. And it says the total gameplay, or at least like total like story of the game, would be 2 to 4 hours. So you're right about it being like a casual sort of game, but it seems like there's so much quality in that time that the creator of this game the developer has spent a lot of time making sure that those 2 to 4 hours feel like really quality hours. And just from watching any of this, like, I could absolutely see that.
I think I've played maybe 40, 45 minutes of it, and it was so satisfying. I enjoyed it so much more than I expected.
It looks like the price is going to be $5. So again, like short
That's
and
amazing.
Sweet, worth every penny. Yeah, I'm going to pick this up for sure. On my wish list already.
I knew it. I knew it. That's so funny. I finally got a cozy game for you.
I know you can't throw like card games at me with a creature collecting battle system and not expect me to jump on board.
Yeah, there we go.
Final round.
Let's talk about some upcoming indie games we're excited about. There was just a few that I want to mention real quick. So the Rewinder 2, as of recording this, it comes out tomorrow on Monday as a follow-up to, guess what? The Rewinder 1. That one. I don't know if you've ever played it. I think it's in our shared library, and I don't know which one of us owns it. I don't remember.
I don't think I played it, but that doesn't mean I didn't buy it. I'm not sure.
It's like very Eastern mythological inspired, like pixel art adventure. It's really cool looking. So I haven't played it either, and it's been on like my to play list for like years. So now that I know there's a second one coming out tomorrow, I'm like, all right, I got to catch up. I got to play that first one and then get here. Cesto or Kesto. I don't know if we ever figured out exactly. Is it Cesto? That one's coming out.
You know, I'm not sure. The early access of that one's coming out, and I did play that in the Steam Next Fest, I think.
Yeah, I remember that was the luck-based game, and
no, that's not the luck-based one.
Oh, which one is this?
This is the one where you are like navigating, like you have these like it's a 4x4 grid, and I'm trying to remember it as I look at these screenshots of it. So it's a 4x4 grid, and the way that you're going through it is you're kind of dropping things. You pick a floor, and then you will go through, like when you pick the floor, it goes through it horizontally and like goes through every one of the squares, and you have an attack power and a magic power. And if your attack power, magic power is equal to or greater than the monster, it will defeat them. Otherwise, like they will damage you, or they at least have a chance to damage you or something. Right. And it's just like it looks very much like a sort of kind of slot machine type thing, but it's not like a luck based thing.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, Soul Casto, whatever, however you say it, comes out on the 27th.
There's one that came out that it's already out. It came out on what day was that? The 13th. And I have it, but I haven't played it yet. But I wanted to bring it up because I didn't before. This one is Gunbot Diplomacy.
Oh yeah,
and this is, if you remember Brotato.
Yes.
Like how much fun I had with that one. And I think you played that one as well at some point.
Did. Yeah, that one was like, nuts.
Yeah, it's like that, maybe a more condensed version of that, but instead of a potato man, you're a robot. And so you're upgrading this robot to go through in the same sort of bullet heaven type way. You're moving around in like a very small sort of area in the same way that you are in Brotato. But it's got very positive reviews and it looks pretty fun. I don't know much about it outside of the gameplay, and the upgrades are similar to Brotato, but because I like that game so much, this one appealed to me right away. And again, is a $5 game. So those I usually jump in on if they look appealing at all to me. So I just wanted to bring this up because it only has 78 reviews right now. They're all very positive. So I just think it needs a little bit more attention. And I'm going to be playing it soon. And once I do, I'll bring it to the show and let you know.
Heck yeah. Great little hidden gem. I went down a rabbit hole of trying to find more indie games created by French studios or French developers.
Okay.
Because we had been doing
of Expedition 33 and what was
Savara.
Savara, yeah.
Yeah. And turns out Brotato is one of them. So there you go.
Man, the French are killing it.
Dude, you have no idea how many indie games, especially ones I know that you know, were made by French studios. Yeah, there's some big ones. Guess what? Dead Cells.
Are you serious? Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just going to move to France.
Yeah, I was going to say, should we be French? Should I speak a little bit of French, not well at all, but like one of the first things I made sure to learn when I was in high school was j'ai le fromage dans ma pantalon, which I believe is somewhat akin to saying there is cheese in my pants.
Yeah.
So I think I'm ready to move to France.
I had French fries yesterday. That's about as close as I
hell yeah, dude. We're ready. We're so ready to go. Hop in. Let's go.
Oh man.
I don't know what you're hopping into. Hop into my vocal booth. We'll fly. We'll fly there.
Game over.
If you had a good time listening to this episode, stick around for the bumper. You can learn how to support the show and all the things we do at Sloth Creative. You can also check the show notes for our link tree, which will take you to our social media, our Discord, subreddit, merch store, tons of other cool stuff. But get in touch with us. Let us know what indie games you're playing. Help us elevate these games so we can help support indie developers. But that's game over for us. My name is Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Continue.
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth for indie game let's plays and recommendations. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/nerdsloth, where you can select a pledge and receive access to hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything at Sloth Creative. If you're an indie game developer and would like us to review your game or explore other opportunities, send an email to nerdslothcreative@gmail.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade. Thanks for listening, and keep supporting indie game devs.